Hey guys, Selena Walker here, naturopath, nutritionist and herbalist, living deep in nature here at Ysbryd y Coed. And today I'm talking to you about St. Johns Wort. I'm here in the herb garden with St. Johns Wort. We do have some grown wild in our woods, but I've got a lovely big row here, purposefully grown to make medicine. So Hypericum perforatum. And you know the name Hypericum because that comes from the red pigment. So the red pigment, hypericin, you'll know to identify St. Johns Wort because you should be able to rub the head into your hand and start to see red pigment coming out. So I'm just starting to see the red pigment coming out. So I don't want to do too much, but you might not be able to see that on the camera, but there's red on my hand. So that's the first sign that I've ID'd it right. And the other way you can ID it is the word perforatum. It's giving you a clue. If you hold the leaves up to the light, you should be able to see all the little holes in the leaves. So we know we got the right plant. In fact, I know I got the right plant because I planted it here. But that's another great way to learn plants, is to plant them from seed, because you really get to know them. So today I'm going to make a tincture with you guys and talk to you about St. Johns Wort as we do that. So all we're going to do, I've got a sterilised jar here. We're going to fill the jar with the flowering tops and then add some of our Welsh vodka on top. And it's that easy. So St. Johns Wort, Hypericum perforatum. That word hypericum, as I said, is in relation to the red pigment, and that red pigment gives us a clue in the doctrine of signatures, which is a way how they connected plants to what they do by clues the plant was giving them. So that red represents blood. So that tells us that St. Johns Wort is good for wound healing. Now, other things you could say, well, she comes out around midsummer time. In fact, here it's usually a bit later, but around that midsummer, that summer solstice time. And because she's out around that time, she represents moving from light to darkness. And that's another thing that she will do in the body. So she's renowned for being used with depression. And I say, I wouldn't use her for deep, dark depression. And as always, as I say, it's not just using the herbs. It's looking as herbs as part of the picture. You need to also look at hydration. You need to look at food. You need to look at mind, ego, thought process, and clearing toxicity from the body. But she's very good as a mild antidepressant to bring the light back to your body, so you can use her for depression, but she'll also just generally lift the mood. If you're taking her for mild depression, then it can take, a good couple of months sometimes for some people to get to the levels of St. Johns Wort inside of you to actually feel the full difference. So don't give up. And as I said, don't just do that. Meet the herb halfway and make changes in other areas as well. So she lift the mood, and if she's going to lift the mood, then that's going to tell us, well, what else could she lift the mood with? Well, what about if you're going through the menopause and you've got lots of anxiety and irritation or low mood? St. Johns Wort could be the helping hand there. Whenever I'm picking herbs, I can't help but taste them, smell them, and just really connect. The other thing, if you think of, okay, well, she represents the light appearing, the summer solstice and the end of the darkness. Well, she would be great to have in your medicine cabinet for SAD, seasonal affective disorder. If you're someone that really goes downhill in the winter and your mood needs lifting because you really struggle with the winter energy, then St. Johns Wort is the medicine for you. And she can lift your mood just in general. She's a great one to take and to work alongside. I'm hoping I get enough just from this little patch I'm sat here while I'm chatting to you guys. So the other thing about St Johns Wort is she's under the category of nervines. And nervines is a word we use in herbal medicine to describe herbs that work on the nervous system. So she's going to relax the body. So that will be relax the whole body mentally and physically. So she'll release tension. If you've got tension in the muscles and the nerves, she can help release the tension. So anything like anxiety, if you're just feeling burnt out, again, she would be one that I would go to. Now, some herbalists just take the flowering tops, but I like to take the top down to where it goes to leaf, and I will just chop that all up and put in. So I'm just chatting to you while I'm filling this jar up. And you can see how easy this is. So other things, because she's a nervine, she can help with your sleep. So if you've got insomnia, she can just help you get to sleep and stay asleep. Other things, because she's a nervine, is working with any nerve pain. So things such as if you've got shingles or sciatica, then you can take St Johns Wort internally, but also you might decide to take St Johns Wort and make an oil as well. And St Johns Wort is one of the few oils that you actually do want to use the fresh material, because you want to get the fresh red pigment coming out quite quickly. So I've mentioned that she can clear darkness from the body, she's a nervine, and the other qualities, in fact you could probably tell this by just tasting some of her. She's astringent, so drying, and she's antimicrobial. So what can that help with? In fact, my mouth is drying up now as I'm speaking to you, so hopefully I'm not going to run out of saliva and I can keep chatting. So what that means is she can help bring things back together. So that can be useful in a number of different things. So if you think about inflammation, a lot of the time what happens in inflammation is the issue is a lot of the time someone's taking an anti-inflammatory. And in inflammation, the body purposely opens the cellular membrane so the white blood cells can come to the area, get through the gaps and gobble up the nasties. But if you take anti-inflammatories, what can happen is those cell membranes remain open and you remain stuck in inflammation. And while anti-inflammatories might take away the symptoms, it doesn't stop the root cause, because the root cause is your cell membranes have got stuck halfway through inflammation. So what St Johns Wort can do is, because of that astringent quality of her, bringing things back together, she can bring the cell membranes back together, so it has an anti-inflammatory action. Now, the other thing that she can be good for is in the gut, because if you think about how many people these days have leaky gut, we want to bring the tissues back together, and that also that antimicrobial action will really help balance gut bacteria and sort out the guys you don't want in there and encourage the guys you do want in there. We just separate this from the chamomile that's growing next to it. So we've mentioned gut, we've mentioned inflammation and also infection because of the antimicrobial action. And because of that drying astringent action, it's also going to help with the urinary system. If you've got like incontinence, and you just need things tightening up, like in the menopause, you might have got urge incontinence where suddenly you need to go to the toilet and you need to go now. So St Johns Wort can help just tighten the tissues in the urinary system. And also with children with bedwetting, can just tighten things up, because sometimes it can also be obviously psychological, and that's psychological aspects, and that's why I say you always have to look at everything and not just use the herbs. You need to look at what you can do as well as what you can take. But sometimes it's just bedwetting can be because tissues need tightening up. Now, the one thing to be aware of with St Johns Wort is there are a lot of contraindications. And one of the reasons that is I always say, if there's contraindications, it tells you how powerful the plant is. So there's contraindications to, just drop some, don't want to waste any. There's contraindications with antidepressants, because if you take an antidepressant then you take this, it can just have too much antidepressant in your body and that can respond negatively. Another well-known contraindication is with the contraceptive pill. You don't want to be taking St. Johns Wort, but there are many contraindications. So as always, I say I'm not offering medical advice. These are just videos to inspire you to grow and make your own medicine. But I'm inviting you to explore it in your body, meet your body where it's at. If you're on medication, check it out with your doctor before taking. Okay, I'm just going to need to get up and reach a few. Right at the back, behind the thistle. There we go. Hopefully you're not getting a big eyeful of my bum there. And what we're going to do, we're just going to fill this up now. It's almost there. You want to fill it until it's bouncy full, but not tight full. There's a chamomile trying to sneak in there. That's why you always want to do it slowly and pick individually. And by that, what do I mean? Well, I mean, I could probably get a bit more in there because you want it bouncy. So it's bouncy like that, where you can bounce it, but it's full to the top. So I'm just going to pick a few more. Okay, let's see if this is enough. I might just trim it as it's going in, because it's a bit chunky, that bit. There we go. Give it a squish. I think that's good. That's a good amount. There we go. Actually, I'm going to get one more bit for luck, make it a really good strong one. So let's get one more bit. Okay, last bit going in here. The one thing you do have to be careful of, if you're picking a lot of it, is that it can make you photosensitive, so wash your hands afterwards. And that is one point actually. Some people, not everybody, but some people when they take in the medicine, it can make you photosensitive. So something to be aware of. So you can see there I've got a good combination of flowers, mainly flowers, but there are a few leaves and stalks in there as well. So now, all I'm simply doing, so I filled that with the herb until it's bouncy, but not completely compact, because you want the vodka to be able to get in. And I'm using 43% vodka. So you can use whatever spirit you've got. Let me just try and open this. So that might be gin, vodka or brandy are the main ones that you can use. That amazing pop. And then time to turn her into medicine. You want to fill her as close to the top as you can, which is always a bit more tricky when you're in the garden. And I'm probably going to need a bit from another bottle. There we go. Put that down. Just open another bottle. And get through so many of these at this time of year. Right up to the top. There we go. I'm not going to fill it as up to the brim as I would normally if I was in my kitchen, but you want to get it as close to the top without spilling it. Lid on, label. That is key because it will look very different. And it's what I tend to do whenever I make a tincture is within 24 to 48 hours, I just check it a couple of times to make sure, because sometimes what will happen is the plant will start absorbing the alcohol, and what will then happen is the alcohol will go below the plant, and you want to keep the alcohol above the plant level because you want to make sure that it's all saturated in the alcohol. And you can put your energy into it by agitating it every day, and that puts your energy into it, and you will see over time. In fact, I can see some red starting to come into this already amongst some places, or maybe it's just my imagination, but over time that will turn a deep red colour. And that is how you make your own St. Johns Wort medicine. Easy peasy. Fill the jar, springy full, cover it in a spirit and leave. So I will now leave this for 4 to 6 weeks. You could potentially use it after 2, but I like to always leave mine for a minimum of 4. Sometimes longer if I'm extra busy in the garden, but everything is fine in there because it's in alcohol. And then I will strain out the medicine and then put the herb on the compost heap because the herb is spent. And I hope this has inspired you to get connecting with St. Johns Wort. You might just go out there and connect with St. Johns Wort and try and identify her. Get some seeds and grow her so you've got some in your garden for next year. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, pretty please, because it really helps get this message out there. I really want to spread the word of we can make our own medicine and we can reduce our medicine miles. You can also head on over to my website selenawalker.earth and sign up to my free newsletter, and I'll email out hints, tips and news about what's going on, all about creating a healthy body, a healthy mind and a healthy planet. I'll see you soon.